Welcome back to the Stephen Knight Show. Our next guest is Grammy Award-nominated singer, songwriter, and producer who will release his highly anticipated 17th studio album, Lessons, on April 1st. He joins us to tell us all about it. Please help me welcome the one and only Eric Roberson. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We'll definitely appreciate you. I know you are in promotion mode, preparing for the new release. So I thank you for taking time out your schedule for sure.
Honest mind, man. This is all part of it, man. So I appreciate you expanding and spreading the word.
Absolutely. So you've been in the game over 20 years as a successful independent artist, creating what you call honest music.
Yeah.
Describe honest music.
Honest music is really truly being dedicated to what you feel at the moment. You know, I'm a soul artist, R&B artist, but you know, I love rock and roll and house and hip hop and all those other aspects. But honest music is really what I feel at the time. Like honestly, being as vulnerable if I need to be, whatever influences I need to have. You know, to me, my number one job is not being a songwriter. My number one job is finding inspiration and capturing it and putting it in a musical form. And a lot of times you may let doubt or opinions or other things influence you in your creative process, but I really approach it in a very direct, honest, undistilled way.
Most definitely. And being an independent artist, you have a lot of creative control, obviously.
Yeah.
Are you happy that you went that way? Are you, because of that control you have?
I think it's one of the things that led me there. You know, before I was putting albums out, I was a songwriter producer on a lot of artists and a lot of major labels. And sure, you may know the songs that I wrote that did come out, but I can't tell you the impact on all the music I watched that didn't come out and all the artists I saw that was moved to LA or moved to New York and recorded an album that could have easily changed not only their lives, but the music industry for it never to be heard. And that was scary to me. I never wanted to be a part of that. So, you know, to me, creativity is really the main aspect that I view success as. For me, can I hear an idea and can I chase down the inspiration and can I make it sound as close as I heard it in my head? Mm-hmm. It's really my level of success. What the world thinks about it, guess what? Once the world has it, it's their song, you know, but I'm really bringing it to a tangible form, and that's where I find it. So I do appreciate that comfort because it's tough making music, and I applaud the artists that's on a major. It's tough making a song or an album that the entire building has to like and be in agreement on. You know what I mean? Before it sees the light of day, and that's pretty tough.
Yeah, we've heard about those artists who make a whole album and it's shelved. You know, they don't have that control, that power. Who do you listen to when you're not creating your own work? And I know you, like you said, you like a diverse genre of music. Who do you listen to today?
You know, currently, I mean, so Jasmine Sullivan, she gets a lot of play. Emily King, Avery Sunshine, they get a lot of play. But then, you know, my homies Kevin Ross just put out a great record. Yeah. And then, of course, you know, Jay Electronica, Tribe Called Quest. I'm still listening to that, you know. And of course, Stevie, Bill Withers, whatever. But if you talk about new, man, I mean, I'm Radiohead, everything. I'm listening to whatever really I find that kind of moves me and stuff. What's the kid? There's this kid, last name is P-U-T-H, Poof. I forgot his first name, but he's making some really impactful music right now. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm really just constantly searching for really finding a song that makes me wish I wrote it. Like, I wish I wrote that. That's crazy, you know? So it's whatever. It could be any genre, any race, any age. I'm kind of tuning into it.
Most definitely. So one thing I didn't know about you're a professor at Berklee College of Music in Boston.
Yeah.
And I saw that you said not only are you teaching your students, but you're learning from them. How's that experience? Do you still loving it?
Oh, I love it, man. It's a big level of dedication. Yeah. And, you know, I always say, and I think my pastor first said, I don't know who first said it. I think it was him, but he said, you have to be a teacher and a student all the time, at the same time, all the time. Right. And I think that's the perfect example of it, because you can't walk in there having everything figured out. Guess what? Music changes too much. The industry changes too much. So their questions, trying to find answers to it, if we get close to the answer, it impacts them and it impacts me. Exactly. And they could bring in more stuff. I mean, they telling me more stuff than I'm probably telling them a lot of times because they're on ground zero seeing the actual things happen. So it's great, man. I think a lot of the marketing, a lot of the hustle that people might see me and my team doing now comes from those classrooms, you know, because they're like, you're challenging me to do something. Why you not doing it? You know what I mean? So like, all right, well, cool. You got to see me do it then, you know? So it's a good experience. It's really helpful.
Yeah. It's a student of the game. You're still a student of the game. Yeah. Yeah. That's how you can still produce the music you put out now, you know?
Amen. That's true.
Well, in 2020, we were all on lockdown and, you know, this COVID was going on, which is still happening, but, you know, we're starting to open back up and artists out there performing again and we're in larger groups. But you took that time to be creative and I produced a powerful album, Here to Here, which you call an act of service.
Yeah.
And first of all, what do you mean by act of service and why was that important for you to put that out? That project?
Well, you know, at the end of the day, that's what art is, or at least the majority of art that I know, and especially what I do in music, it's an act of service. It's going to help take people's minds off of the current time or help to remind them of a certain thing, you know, as a ministry in it, you know. So, you know, it's an act of service. And the first, you know, for me, when the pandemic first started happening and, you know, the shows were canceled and my kids were home and homeschool and stuff like that, I first was writing just so that I could comfort myself because I felt uneasy as a father and a husband and as a boss of a company, you know, and trying to keep people employed. You know, you have all these worries, right? So the first part of it was I started writing just because it comforts me. And then I share it in the hopes that it comforts someone else, you know? So when I say act of service, it's that. And I think majority of art, when a painter who doesn't find joy in their own painting, it saddens me. You know, a writer who doesn't find joy in their own writing, that saddens me. I find joy in mine. Even in the darkest moment, I pick the pen up. In my highest moment, I pick the pen up. It's my partner, for real, you know? So, and I think you can, if you allow it to be that, it can definitely be an act of service for you. But the overall act is that you're doing something and then you're handing it away. Right. We're grateful that we can make a living doing it, but we hand it away. So yeah, it's definitely, hopefully it helps you improve your relationships, improve your self-worth, improve how you see the world and make you feel better or make you forget about your problems or feel better or make you feel like you're not alone. That's all an act of service.
Absolutely. And like I said, obviously 20 years strong in the game, successfully in the game. But social media wasn't that huge when you first started out or started, you know, making a bigger name for yourself. How has that impacted the music you put out now in your career?
I don't know. I guess it does impact it. You know why? Because a large part of the marketing is through that, right? And yeah, you're right. The social media technically didn't exist when I started. And we had forums. I think forums were pretty popular. They were pretty popular and very helpful in getting the word out. It's how I knew that people across the world knew about my music. That's the only way I knew. I was like, how in the world do these people know about my stuff?
Right.
So I think what happens is technology changes, as things become more popular, you can't ignore it. You have to acknowledge it. And I watched multiple things change right before my eyes. I think it doesn't change how I create music. I think what it does is we are now in the attention business, right? We're not in the music business anymore. We're in the attention business. My music is still always the same, but every once in a while we do music and all the attention shifts. And I have no idea when and how or have no control of it, but I will tell you that me and my company and my peers, we talk about being prepared when it happens. You know what I mean? Because when you're prepared, when the attention shifts to you and you can't take it personal when it is or when it isn't there, but when it's there, it can take care of the tours to another level. It can bring you to another plateau. So, you know, interesting, when we did the song Lessons, the attention shifted. I can't say I did anything anymore or any less. It is a
Yeah.
special song. It's a special, special record.
Right.
But the attention shifted and we were there to capitalize on it.
I want to talk about lessons because I love the inspiration and concept. You were in the studio at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And it was actually the 13th wedding anniversary for you and your wife. Yeah. What happens?
So, you know, well, interesting enough, these brothers, Anakin and Vader, amazing producers, they had sent me this track a couple of days before that, actually. Okay. But they had told me, when I first heard it, I was like, oh my God, I love it. Let me have it. And they were like, well, you know, we sent it to a couple of people. So let me just first, you know, they're good friends of mine. So we also share music all the time. Yeah. And I don't know if they knew I really wanted it when they sent it, but I loved the track so much. I was like, I really want this. Right. And so they were like, well, let me just see what's going on with it first. So interesting enough, about 4 days went by. And then they called and said, well, nobody's biting on it. So if you want it, go rock out. And it was that night. So interesting enough, if I wrote it the first night they gave it to me, I probably wrote a great song. We might still be talking about that right now, but it wouldn't be lessons, you know? Yeah. Because for me, when I sit down to write, I go, where am I? Who am I? What am I trying to be? What am I trying to accomplish? And then I just hit record and I follow my lead. Mm-hmm. That night, it being my anniversary, got the kids to bed, my wife went to sleep, and I said, all right, I'm not sleeping. Let me go work down there and write some. But I'm thinking about them. I'm thinking that, yo, man, we made it this far. You know, we holding it down. Mm-hmm. And that was it. I think it put me in that spirit of talking about the ups and downs that led me to this very moment. Right. And it was a special thing. And then the other part, which is interesting, I don't know why it was set up in there, but a camera was set up in there for something I did before. Mm-hmm. And hey, it's on here. Let me hit record. I mean, I got a tank top on. I ain't got no hat on. I wasn't like prepared. I wasn't like, I'm gonna tear this up. It just was like, all right, let me just hit record. And and I probably knew it was special. You know when you're on to something or you're in tune with something. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I knew it was that special. If anything, I knew. If anything, I was like, now I realize everyone that let me down led me to you. I felt that was a little. Oh, I hope I don't offend previous relationships, right? You know what I mean? But I was like, it's a true line, whatever. I posted it, went to bed, and that was it. And I woke up next day, it was like, and I was like, oh, okay, you know. But it was true. It's that, you know, we all can experience and all understand that we've caused pain, we receive pain, and hopefully we're all better from it. But we learned from it, and we had to have the pain, you know, for you and I to be sitting here talking right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, recently you released the video for the remix of Lessons, featuring Anthony Hamilton, Raheem Devine, and Kevin Ross. Yeah. And why was it important to get those talented brothers on this record?
Well, one, I respect each one of them tremendously for their artistry, their pen. I'm fans of their writing. And it's an honor to just have them, you know, so into what I'm building over here. So I appreciate it. It really started from those kind of conversations. Raheem, I think, was the first person to hit me up artist-wise when he heard Lessons. He was like, yo, I love that record, man. Yeah. He's like, yo, send me the instrumental. I'll jump on, you know, let's go. And I was like, oh, okay, I didn't think about that. Right. And then, you know, talking with Anthony, I think he was very much a fan of the song as well. And I said, well, I got the instrumental. I'll send it to you. You know, we in the spirit of. And I didn't know Kevin at the time, but my team knew Kevin. Okay. And so I was a big fan of his music. He's a phenomenal singer. Yeah. And so we chopped it up first. We just got on the phone and just talked. And it was good to kind of like hear what he was working on, going through and stuff like that. And then he knocked it out the park too. So what I'll tell you, the beautiful thing is shooting the video. It was just a blessing for us to come together, man. The brotherhood that was inside that room, and our voices, our textures all matching. It wasn't like I planned it, but when you think of Anthony, that husky baritone voice, I'm probably one step above him, like just a tenor baritone, and then Raheem with that falsetto, and then, you know, Kevin Ross, like the high tenor, just, you know, ranges out the roof. It matches perfectly. I mean, it's just like when we went to go sing harmony, we knew exactly where we all went. We wasn't like, you take that note, you take. It was just like we just sang and it just showed up. You know, so it was really nice singing with them, and just the brotherhood and just fellowshipping, man. We had a good time.
And then of course Anthony Hamilton, he surprised the audience when he brought y'all out for Berklee. How was that? And that was the first time you all performed that. So how was that like? bringing that magic to stage.
It was great. I mean, backstage was bananas, as you could already imagine. But it was great. I mean, like really just like 2 days before we did it, Anthony just called up and was like, yo, y'all want to come to LA? It was like, heck yeah, let's do it. Everybody was off. Nobody had a show or nothing like that. So it was pretty dope, man. And it was just a dope night too, man. A great celebration. I know both of them really well, Music and Anthony, and I've had the fortunate opportunity to write for Music, and they played those songs too. So it was like it was just a great, night of celebrating beautiful Black music.
And I'm glad, like when it comes down to verses, first people trying to put people against each other, but it really is a celebration of the catalogs of the artists.
Yeah. I mean, listen, they gonna act like this. It is all love, right? But even you can't get in verses. You're not gonna find two closer friends than Music and Anthony in this situation. But even with that, there's still some competition. They still. I can see the head sticker. He played it. He's like, ooh, okay, I'm gonna play this. But at the end of the day, the foundation is all love. You know what I'm saying? And you want. I mean, I think Anthony wants Music to play his best song because I'm going to come up with this next song, playing best song. And what you saw was two people that really believed in their music. And in all transparency, in all honesty, I think it was really good for Music to see people so into him and love his music again, because the industry can, the industry side of it can tell you, oh, you're not doing it like you used to do or whatever, if you're not having the same numbers you used to have. And I always frown about that part of the industry, but he, I love the fact that this was a reminder that, yo, man, you are one of the icons in this music business, and we're here to celebrate you. And both of them won that night.
Yeah, they did. I was watching Fat Joe. He and Remy Ma they were co-hosting for the Wendy Williams show, and Ja Rule came on, and he was saying, he was letting everybody know we were talking junk, but it was really just for show. This is a competition, but that's my brother. You know what I mean? So it makes sense what you're saying, for sure.
It's all love, man. It's all love.
Well, let's talk about Lessons, the album.
Yes.
Comes out April 1st. And I heard the album release party is going to be here in Atlanta on the 3rd.
Yes.
What can we expect on the album?
The album is a story about someone going through ups and downs, recovering and finding love. Yeah. And it's very true. It's what I went through in my life and what you learn from each step, the missteps, the hurt, the rejection, but also the moment that you realize you found somebody that's special, that strong feeling of realization when you the hooks are in, like I'm gone. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, it's what I would tell you is that I'm 48. I'm 21 years into releasing music. I'm 30 years in the music business as a whole, and I have the closest relationship to my pen as I've ever had. I feel like it's moving in ways. I'm really excited. I'm excited about what we were able to put to this album. Exactly how I heard it in my head, it really showed up. We're fine-tuning it. And even singing-wise, I've worked hard to stay healthy in this business. Yeah. I'm singing better than I've ever sang before. And I think when people hear this record, they're going to hear that too. Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to be a great experience. If you love Lessons, I think you're going to love the entire album.
That's dope. Do you think, you mentioned you're 48 years old, do you think that experience, and well, let me ask you, how is that experience and obviously all the great work you've done over the years, how does that show up in this record?
It's all part of it. I think, I'm pulling from the first time I went in the studio. I'm pulling from each album. I'm pulling, because this album really is a collective of where I am today, but what built me to be the person I am today.
Right.
I think it has a connection to the previous albums, but guess what? 5 albums ago or 10 years ago, I was a different person, and I was very true to who I was at that time.
Right.
And I think be honest with you, I think over the last couple of years, the shift was I was working so hard to make an impact.
Yeah.
That I couldn't even notice the impact I might have been making. I was just so head down, driving, let's just try to make it happen. And I would say over the last couple of years, I kind of sat up and was kind of like, we could slow down a little bit. Like we doing all right. It's like
right.
things are working. We doing okay.
Yeah.
And in that moment of kind of grace and assessing what has happened, assessing who I am today, it just gave me more topics and more subject and a different way to approach even subjects that I've already written about. And trusting, really, really trusting that if I need something, if I move towards the direction musically, spiritually, whatever, it'll be there. And I think this album is that it really, I've always been one, like if you look at the features on this album, Corey Henry's on the album because I spoke to him that day.
Yeah.
Like for real, Intro's on the album because we were working on something and that didn't work out. But I said, well, if that didn't work out, can we use it here? It's like, it all works out, in some form, fashion. I always tell everybody the window of opportunity is guaranteed. It's just not guaranteed you'll see it.
Absolutely.
What I'll tell you is that my eyes are wide open right now, so I can see it. This opportunity is here. The window is small, but it's here. This window has broken glass around it, but guess what? I can fix it and climb through it. Like I feel like I'm very open to the opportunities that are coming around right now, and I'm willing to cherish and utilize all of them.
Absolutely. We have to talk about your book. You released your first book, Lessons. 100 Thoughts of Life and Love, and you released that March 1st, I believe. What was the inspiration for that? Does it all tie into?
It all ties in. Journey? For me, I'm always writing, and I probably write more essays and poems, and then those things show up as songs or conversations that like you and I are having that may lead to some kind of writing. And what happened was we were marketing Lessons, and I was taking movies and TV shows, like my favorite moments of those, and I was writing about them, like writing a lesson that I saw out of Love Jones, or writing a lesson I saw out of Mo Better Blues. And it took on a life of its own. I honestly, I think we thought that we were going to write 20, 30 or just something like that. And then by 85, we were like, we got a whole bunch here. And once again, we put a lot of effort into it. I spent a lot of time thinking, internalizing certain wordings that would move people. So after the 20th person, 30th person says, why is this not a book? It's like, why isn't it a book? You know what I mean? Yeah. But the funny thing is, what was always interesting when we talk about the window of opportunity. So I actually wrote 2 books. Actually wrote one book and was writing another book. And that's what was my plan for this year. It wasn't Lessons, the album, wasn't Lessons, the song, nor Lessons, the book. Yeah. I was planning on releasing a poetry book called Beautifully All Over the Place. And I was going to write another book called Getting Out of the Way of Yourself, which is really like songwriting lessons that you can apply to real life. That was my goal. Yeah. But for some reason, Lessons caught the attention, Lessons turned, and we benefited off of that, the attention that came with it, which led to a whole nother book. And that book, in all honesty, has prepared me to be, to understand what I need to do to put these other books out as well. So I'm excited for the future music, the future books, all the stuff that's going to be coming out in the near future.
And I know you're currently on tour. How's it feel? Are you full capacity? How's it like being back out there?
It is great. Yeah. What I would tell you is, me and the band, we were off the road for 2 years. So I was, it's a great feeling. Of course, we adjusted. We did a ton of virtual shows and stuff like that. But it's always good to get a natural crowd and get that energy. And we're going to continue on with that. We've been on the road for quite some time now. Okay. Of course, we're still taking precautions. And there's certain things luxuries that we were able to do before that we can't necessarily do. We used to finish a show and we stand out and sign CDs and take pictures for hours at a time, and we're not there yet. Like we're not gonna do that yet. But hopefully we're close. Hopefully we're close. So, but we still get up there tearing the show down and tearing the stage down, and we looking forward to the next city to do the same.
Yeah. Well, I saw. I think it was someone taking a fan picture of Bobby Brown, and he had a big piece of plastic between them.
Yes, I had a meet and greet in New Jersey, and when I went into it, I said, "We got a meet and greet? Okay, all right." And I go down there, and there's this big old piece of plexiglass between us. And I was like, "We really gonna take this picture like this?" Like, all right. Yeah. But people were fine with doing it. I was like, okay, well, I mean, but it's just who'd have ever thought that that's where the world would be at right now, you know?
But I'm just glad that we can see a light in the tunnel, because
yes,
it went from lockdown for 2 months, and then it was kind of like, okay, when is this thing going away? When is it getting better? So it is good that we get starting, even more so, to be out there.
Yeah, I agree.
Let me ask you real quick, just because everyone's been talking about this, do you have any thoughts that you want to share about the Will Smith slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars? And I'm asking you because you're a married man.
Yeah.
And, to Will's defense, he was doing it out of, he felt like Chris Rock disrespected his wife. What are your thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts. There's so much to unpack there, and there's so many different levels. What I will tell you is, it's another reminder for me that Will and Jada are they're a married couple, and I, as a married man, I have to focus on my wife and on my marriage.
Yep.
And at no point, not even saying that something's bad about Will and Jada's marriage, but at no point am I to be envious of anyone else's marriage.
Right.
At no point am I to want to compare my marriage to anybody's marriage. My whole focus is to sow into my wife and to sow into my marriage.
Yeah.
And be thankful for the thoughts and challenges that I do have, and thankful for the thoughts and challenges that I don't have.
Exactly.
And in that situation, I feel like I would have handled it differently.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't carry the weight of what Will is carrying, or Jade is carrying, or really what Chris is carrying.
Yeah.
And what I will tell you, what I see it as a songwriter, I understand the obligation as a songwriter. I've written songs that got me in trouble. I've written songs that have exposed other people or feelings and things of that nature, because God gave me the words and I didn't shy away from it.
Right.
As a comedian, you have an obligation. And I think Chris, whether I agree with the joke or not, most comedians would tell you there's an obligation that stands behind it, and he stood behind the obligation. He had an idea, he looked at her, he thought of it, he said it. Right or wrong. That's we've cherished and celebrated comedians for as long as we can remember for doing just that.
Yeah.
Not that, once again, it's an interesting platform that you're doing on, an interesting crowd that you're doing this at. But at the same time, Will Smith, as a husband, has an obligation as well. And as crazy, I love the fact that he's protecting the Black woman. We don't hear enough of that, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, it's a little off-brand. We don't expect Will Smith to say what he said and do what he did. Yeah, but if that saved his marriage, that might have very much saved his marriage, or brought him closer than to him and his wife in a way that they weren't as close right before that. So if that's what he needed to do at the time, we don't know. I can't speak on it because it's not my situation. But what I will tell you is that the same way that I make a piece of art and it's an act of service and it may move, man, I can't tell you how many conversations that came out of this, how many jokes, but how many also serious conversations that came out of it. And once again, as much as we want to say it, the joke, the slap, all of it, it's still a level of art. It still have an act of service. It still made people move. It moved you to have a conversation, ask questions. It might have moved you to tears. It might have triggered you or whatever, but it still made you move. And that's what art does. And it's one of the most talked about moments that I can think of in a long time, and will be, But at the end of the day, most importantly, I hope Chris is better from it. I hope Will is better from it. And I hope Jada is better from it.
Yeah.
That's all I really, really can ask.
Absolutely.
And I think they all will be.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
Well, listen, our thanks goes out to Eric Roberson for joining us tonight. His album Lessons will be available April 1st. Visit his website, ericrobersonmusic.com, to get your tickets for his tour. And for more information, you can always go to our website at stephennightshow.com. We'll be right back after this.